Welcome. This video will provide an overview of the Nestorenko software OnCall Assistant Application. Pause on a screen if you need to analyze the information presented. This app was developed in late 2015 at the request of some vice principals who were struggling with the daily chore of handling teacher absences and assigning and tracking on-calls. First, I'll demonstrate how to add absences and assign on-calls, and then I will explain the initial setup. On a daily basis, everything takes place here on the main tab. Daily reminders entered here will appear when assigning on-calls. We'll see that in a moment. I'll explain more about supply teachers later, but let's suppose that Diane Severson will be used today as well as another unknown supply teacher, so we will use Supply 1 for now. Now we go to the Add Absence Assign On-Call form. We will work on January 8th. We have 5 teachers absent for various reasons and lengths of time. Andy Bathgate is at a heads meeting at the board office. Note that coverage and absence information can be entered initially or adjusted below after the absence is added. Don Gainey is ill, Joanne Gowan is ill, John Harvey is ill for the next 3 days, and Dan Shack is coaching wrestling and will be away after period 1. Notice that the daily reminders appear in the upper part of the screen. Also notice that up to 5 days absences can be added. Periods needing coverage are highlighted in color. A variety of information pop-up forms provide some help if needed. Andy Bathgate will be covered by Unknown Supply Teacher 1 in Period 2. Calculus in Period 3 will be redirected to the library to prepare for an exam, and Period 4 will be covered by on-calls. Note that the drop-down list shows teachers available in that period and is sorted by the number of on-calls already done so that the most likely candidate is near the top. Active supply teachers are shown at the top. Don Gainey will be covered all day by supply teacher Diane Severson. Joanne Gowan requires no coverage. John Harvey will be covered by Unknown Supply Teacher 1 in Period 1 and by on-calls in Period 2. Dan Shack will be covered by on-calls in Period 2 and 3. Our daily notes remind us not to assign an on-call to Vicky Vasco, who is helping with an assembly. To demonstrate some error checking, I've assigned 2 on-calls to Tricia Jones, and I have left off coverage for Dan Shack Period 4 second half. If working on future days, some of these items could be left and adjusted later, but I'll correct them now. Some class notes can be added which will appear on on-call and supply teacher reports. The Quick View form is handy when working on a particularly busy on-call day. Less functionality, but more teachers can be viewed at one time. Perhaps we now know that Stan Makita will be the morning supply teacher, so we can activate him on the supply teacher form, so that he will appear in the drop-down. We could also add a new supply teacher here if necessary. Here we now see Stan Makita and assign the class to him. That completes the assigning and fine-tuning of on-calls for the day. Now the daily reports can be viewed and printed. Some users generate PDFs of some reports and email to staff. The Teacher Absence On-Call report for posting in the staff room and main office. On-call slips would be placed in teacher mailboxes. The supply teacher assignment pages would be ready for incoming supply teachers. A redirect notice to post on the classroom door. If a flipped period schedule is used, periods would be visually reordered on forms and reports. A handy report here on the main tab is the upcoming teacher absence on-calls report, which shows all absences and on-calls assigned from the date selected onward. As shown, most coverage would not yet be assigned and would show as to be announced. Initial school setup is done on the School Setup tab. Here we see typical settings, a semestered school with 4 periods displayed. Semester and term dates are entered here. The app can display 4 or 5 periods and can accommodate semestered or a non-semestered 2-day cycle. Semestered schools with some classes running all year can also be accommodated. Non-instructional dates are entered here. Then the app will recreate the school calendar table using the above information. A variety of daily schedules can be used, regular, flip, shortened, etc. Period start and halfway times are entered here. Then the daily schedule can be adjusted on the school calendar table. And if a 2-day cycle is used, the day can be adjusted here. The absence code table can be edited to suit your needs. Recall that the absence display info will appear on the daily teacher on-call listing. The initial setup of the teacher linear table is very easy. Many users viewing this video will be familiar with the Timetable Assistant application. For your information, the import of the master schedule is exactly the same in the OnCall app as it is in the Timetable Assistant app. The master schedule by course section report provides the master schedule data which is imported here to generate the teacher linear table within the OnCall Assistant. After importing the master schedule, teacher assignments can be edited if necessary. The app will initially assume a teacher is available for an on-call in any period where no class is taught. Teacher on-call availability is easily edited, possibly for part-time teachers or for department heads. Teachers available in any period will appear in drop-down lists. If beginning to use this app mid-year, the number of on-calls already done by each teacher can be adjusted. The maximum number of on-calls can be edited for each teacher, part-time teachers for instance. All teachers should be imported, but there could be a scenario where it is necessary to add a teacher. A variety of year-to-date reports are available. Here's year-to-date on-calls by teacher detail. And here's year-to-date on-calls by teacher summary. And here's the other summary reports. On-calls by date, on-calls by period, absences by teacher, absences by date, and absences by absence code. That concludes the only requirement is that Microsoft Access, a component of MS Office, be installed, since the app is an MS Access application file. No data entry is required. I can send the app as an email attachment. I can also call you if you'd like and lead you through setup and getting started. Feel free to email me if you have any questions or need more information.